日日曜日早起きする。
Hey, same, especially when I have to wake up to get these stupid reviews done. Cold open for this one featured Pop at the piano, as again, thankfully, they are bringing back this plot point after kind of forgetting about it for a little while. However, there was a familiar looking looming shadow behind her that she'd have to deal with. The episode proper, they explained that the reason behind all of this focus was because Pop had a recital that weekend, and while she still mostly played beginner songs, she at least played them well. Enough to the point that Naruto here had to give up his high throne for at least a second. However, when he abdicated, someone else sat in it. Gee, I wonder what her story's gonna be. Actually, the episode kind of cleverly established this girl, Erika's deal in the following scene during the first graders' gym class. Half of them ended up comparing their teacher with Kanako from their kindergarten, whilst the other half compared her to a different teacher as they all came from a different school, including Erika. Still more engaging than anything going on at our capital. But yeah, a good way of introducing a divide between the first graders, as frankly, I don't even remember the name of Pop's kindergarten. Hell, I could barely remember Kanako, except for the fact that she was in a relationship with a co-worker, which yeah, in hindsight, that's kind of questionable to say the least. Anyway, Pop later let out her frustrations at the Mahodo, most notably in regards to Erika. What, is she part of Ultimate Despair? Actually, on that note, she explained how Erika had the stereotypical Ojo-sama laugh, which the little witches of course tied back to Reika Tamaki, who just so happened to have the same surname as her. Yeah, it was pretty obvious where this is going.
私のいとこですわ。いとこ? Yeah, cousin.
Sure, that's totally just your cousin, and not the result of your dad needing to explain what he did that one night in Las Vegas. I mean, come on, their first names are anagrams for each other, and they even have the same VA. If they're just cousins, then these two are complete strangers, which, yeah, was kind of the case in that series, but you get the idea. Hell, I think even the Ojamajo were trying to be polite and not point out the obvious. Regardless, it was clear that Pop had a very similar rival as her sister, who was leading a divide in their class. Granted, her side wasn't helping matters. You say this VA eventually voices one of the most annoying shonen protagonists ever, huh? That aside, this is an interesting setup, having this class being divided solely based on where they came from, and not in terms of race as they've already done that, but of course more based on just friends and past associations, which is a common issue in of itself. However, you then remember that cold opener, and you realize this is mostly going to be about Pop and Reika Jr. Not that the story we're about to get is bad or anything, but it is just a little weird that this storyline that they seem to be building up was abruptly dropped, for now at least. Anyway, as a flex on Pop, Erika ended up playing a fairly complicated tune well and completely blew Pop's playing out of the water. The younger Harukaze took it about as well as you'd expect. On top of that, Erika revealed that she had a recital on the same day as her, where she'd be able to upstage her on an even bigger stage. Thus, Pop needed to start practicing, but as is often the case when you try to compare yourself with someone else all the time, she ended up fumbling more than a drunk quarterback, and speaking of hangovers... That's the face every toy exec makes when they realize they have competition in their markets. But yeah, on top of being a great visual gag, this also highlighted how messed up the usually heavy sleeper Pop was if she couldn't even get her proper 8 hours in. This led to Doremi switching into protective older sister mode, which was both a blessing and a curse as she sometimes took her frustrations out on the wrong person. Yeah, if you really want to blame anyone, blame this guy for not being able to keep it in his pants. Still, Doremi wanted to do something to help her little sister, thus she decided to try to make something at the Mahodo for her. She ended up choosing a fruity Swiss cake, which her friends rightfully pointed out wouldn't be an easy task, as while I haven't made it myself, I have seen enough videos to know it's hard to do without breaking the soft sponge cake. And of course it's even harder when it's made with more solid ingredients like fruits. Still, I guess it is appropriate for today. And yeah, I know, Yule log is a little different, but it's the closest thing I have. And yes, this is left over from the Gap review. Though ran cleverly, this also led to a parallel, yet connected story between the sisters, as both were failing at their respective tasks due to a lack of concentration. And in the case of the elder sibling, it was because she was concerned for her little sister, who in turn was concerned about competing with Erika. You could call it the daisy chain of anxieties, or as it's more commonly known as X. Fortunately, unlike Pop, Doremi did have friends she could fall back on and cover for her. Thus, when the day of the recital came and she still hadn't made a cake, with the help of all of her friends, she managed to make a semi-successful roll, which was enough as all she really needed were a few nice slices. Oh no, she took the other bag, which is bad because... why? I mean, okay, I kind of get it. Basically, Doremi took some of the slightly messier slices that her friends were going to take because they didn't want to waste any of the roll, but it wasn't all that well established. Thus, this music sting and the Ojamajo's later reaction to this mistake felt a little overblown. Like, it feels like they really wanted to stick on one more last-minute conflict, even though Pop's drama was more than enough at this point. I mean, it was certainly more interesting than just some cake.
It's no big deal, really.
Anyway, that aside, everything else involving the Harukaze sisters was exactly on point at least. Doremi didn't necessarily cheer Pop on, and instead kind of egged her on by pointing out all of her accomplishments and how she was ignoring them by being distracted by Erika. I like this because it was basically the elder sibling choosing not to baby the younger one by spouting some empty platitudes, and yet still remained supportive by pointing out how Pop had her own valid skill set that doesn't have to be devalued just because someone else might be a little better. I guess that was also kind of the idea with the cake mix-up, but it still felt like a hat on top of a hat. Well, except for maybe Momoko's reaction here.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Yeah, I think Aiko did better. So after getting her sister's indirect encouragement and some cake, Pop was able to play her number well, and I guess as a bit of karma for her smugness, Eika ended up botching up due to being sick from eating too much beforehand. So, yeah, interestingly, this plot also became a bit of a tortoise and a hare story, more than the actual one that we got back in season 1. Still, the episode managed to end with the younger rivals at least parting on better terms, as Pop empathized with her rival's tummy ache. This was a pretty good episode, mostly for the Harukaze sisters, and less so for the Tamaki cousins. Yeah, there just wasn't much to Erika, other than that she was basically Reika pre-character development. Which just makes me wonder if she was created specifically because the writers wanted to do an indirect reset of her character. About the most interesting part of her character was the fact that she is the result of Mr. Tamaki's infidelity. The Harukaze sisters have had one of the more up and down relationships in this show, in the sense that they've had some great and not so great episodes all about them. This one thankfully fell on the better side of things, with Doremi almost instinctively helping her sister after just hearing a little bit about her issues with Erika. With that said, I'm not sure if they needed to extend the whole sister idea to the rival character too. I mean, I won't say Erika was the worst character or anything, but she was also just kind of bland due to her being a blatant carbon copy of her sister cousin. Thus, she felt more like an obstacle rather than an actual character in of herself. Though, to be fair, that's not the worst thing, at least for this story, as it really was more about the Harukaze sisters. It was a little unfocused due to Erika and the first graders divide subplot, but I do think it smoothed out by the end. So overall, this was a good episode when it was focused on the Harukazes, and just okay when it was anyone else. Mr. Tamaki might have some splaining to do, but nothing really needs to be said about these two, as they're just a wholesome pair of sisters. Thanks for watching, and yeah, sorry I couldn't do more of a Christmas-themed video beyond just this hat and this 2-day-old cake. Yeah, what can I say? Sometimes the cards just don't fall in place, and we kind of have to roll with that stuff. Still, I hope you all are having a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays when this video does come out. We'll see you all in the new year with some new videos. Until then, though, farewell for now, my friends, and... oh, Christmas songs on the piano. That actually kind of works out. Wait, is that stuff copyrighted? Damn it!